Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. I'm here with Laurie Whitwell. We're in the Snapdragon Stadium where Manchester United beat Real Betis 3-2. Decent game in the end, wasn't it?
Quite good, yeah. Decent moves in the first half, certainly. Ahmad scored another great goal.
That was a fantastic
Great's
goal.
probably a bit strong.
Good play by Harry Amas as well, wasn't it?
He's really good, and you know he seems quite mature in terms of speaking to people as well, on the pitch and off the pitch. Yeah, really technical player. I like what I see from him on the tour so far.
There's been a lot of talk about Harry Amas, and when I saw him, was it against Rangers? I thought on the ball he looks really good, but out of possession he looked a little bit like it was his first game in men's football. But today I thought he looked like he wasn't out of place.
Well, he put in a couple of meaty challenges, didn't he?
Yeah.
After I think Rashford had got fouled maybe at that point, and certainly Betis were putting it about themselves. So for him to kind of think, okay, you know, I can put in a tackle as well, sort of showed that he's got the kind of mentality that you want in that situation.
One of the weird things I've felt is that United have been targeting a right back over a left back.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the fact that Shaw and Malacia were out all season last season.
Yeah.
Is that because of Harry Amas?
It could be a factor. I think certainly Ten Hag is looking at it this pre-season, and so far he's started both games, right?
Yeah.
So you know, there's other players. Mason Mount hasn't started both games, for example. So you've got like these. If he's the one that they're picking, I mean, okay, maybe there's not loads of options to be fair, but I still feel like that's a sort of endorsement of his abilities. And I think the Wan-Bissaka one is probably because he's got a year left on his contract, so it kind of brings his future to the fore quicker than you know, the left back situation. So it does seem a little bit curious that you've got this position that feels like it needs a senior player in there. But I think the fact that Wan-Bissaka's got 1 year left, they're thinking, right, should we switch him for another fullback that's got a longer contract?
Yeah, it's the 1 year that's the problem.
Yeah,
because if you renew his contract,
get the money now, basically. Well, I don't. That's it. You don't really hear any, you know, suggestions of new talks for a new contract for Wan-Bissaka.
Marcus Rashford got a goal from the penalty spot today. He also picked up an injury, which, I mean, he took a few knocks earlier on, and I thought maybe it's just the collection of the challenges that meant that he has to kind of walk off. But hopefully nothing too strong.
I don't
because
think
we've had a
it'll
few
be
issues,
too
man.
serious. Yeah. I mean, you come away on tour, don't you? And you just want to have, as a manager, a clean bill of health at the end of it. And the fact that they've had Rasmus Højlund's going to be out for 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. Lenny Yoro's going to be out for 3 months. They're saying.
Is that what it is? 3 months? Because there's been like different reports. Like some have said 3 games, some have said 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months is the one I think has got the most credibility to it. But I mean, they need to wait until they're back in the UK to do the kind of full tests to examine exactly what the injury is and then make a better read. And to be honest, if it is the metatarsal fracture, which you know sources say it is, then that is difficult to actually pinpoint exactly how long that takes.
Remember, they were all the rage when David Beckham was going to miss the World Cup.
And I thought they were all, you know, sort of 8-week jobs, but yeah, it seems that you can get ones that go on for a length of time.
How gutting's that, man? Like, he just gets here, he just arrives. He looked really good against Rangers, I thought. I know he made the error early on in the game where he got injured, but he kind of recovered for it as well. And then he picks up that injury. He's got him, man. He's such a young lad as well, but I suppose being such a young lad means we bought him for the future and the long term, not just the immediate.
That's why they will, think that the fee is justified because he's so young and he is a player that a lot of people speak very highly of, and clearly, you know, was the subject of attention from other clubs, namely Real Madrid. So they'll feel that whatever this injury situation is, it was a worthwhile transfer doing. But clearly, you know, you had Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire starting at centre back. I mean, that was the partnership that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer started with in 2019, and you're thinking that the team should have moved on from that, but clearly the injury situation just means that it's kind of who's left at the moment. I know Martinez will come back for the Community Shield, you'd expect, but it's not quite the revamped defence that I think United fans thought they were getting.
We were here last year, and I thought last year it did feel like we weren't really ready for the season ahead when we were here. But I know we've had those injuries to Lenny Yoro and Rasmus Højlund, and I know the business still isn't done. But it did feel like we were seeing a team that was a lot closer to being ready to start Premier League football, didn't we? Like with some of the patterns of play.
Yeah, some of the moves certainly. I think with Ahmad, you've certainly got a player, and I thought he was quite mixed against Arsenal. I know people were thinking he played quite well, but you've got a player there tonight that got the ball and ran with it and did things with it was purposeful. That's what you want to see from
very rarely wastes it as well. Like, he always keeps possession of the ball. He's quite tidy with those. Sancho-esque, you know, when Sancho's at his best and he just keeps the ball, and he's really good in tight spaces. You see that a lot from Ahmad. And he also seems like a man with a point to prove.
Yeah.
So many players play in pre-season like oh yeah, I'm here, I'm just here to get fit, and you can see them kind of going through the motions, and he's playing like a man that wants to make sure he spots there.
Yeah, we spoke like a man that wanted to make an impression this season in a press conference before the game back in Los Angeles, and he came across as quite a quiet guy, I think humble, but also has ambition and wants to let his feet do the talking on the pitch, and he certainly did that tonight.
One of the things that obviously we're kind of we get in the press mix and all that kind of stuff when pre-season's around, but we're very rarely in it. How have you what kind of senses do you get between Man United last year and now, and the end of the season to now? Do you feel like there's been a sense of a bit of direction, a bit of oomph with the change of ownership and all those kind of things?
I think so. I mean, the biggest thing for me is you see in Dan Ashworth, Sir Dave Brailsford, Jason Wilcox here close to it. These are kind of people that have, Omar Barada's here as well. So these are people that have got that football pedigree, or at least sporting excellence in terms of Brailsford, and they're here watching it firsthand and having those kind of discussions with Ten Hag as it goes on. Obviously the coaching staff has been refreshed, and I think players have spoken about that feeling new as well. So whilst the manager stayed the same, and you're thinking, okay, well, how does that then change from an 8th place finish last season and some chaotic football at times? Well, okay, actually, if you've got a fresh coaching staff, then the environment suddenly feels a lot newer. So I think they're the things that I've picked up most. It's very difficult
to say. You picked up anything with Ten Hag? Because, again, we're in the sun in California, and it's easy to look relaxed when you're in California.
Yeah.
But I see him, and I don't really see a manager that's under pressure. I see a man that's kind of comfortable in his position and happy in his position. Do you feel like that when you're with him and you're grilling him and you're giving those questions?
We've not spent loads of time with him just yet. We should be doing tomorrow, but I think he's actually got more confident in his abilities. Like, for all that happened last season, for all the fact that Ineos were looking at other managers, the fact that he's actually retained his job, just, in that environment, I think he's probably thinking, well, yeah, you haven't had a look around and you haven't found anyone that you're actually happier to a point. And he's got that mentality anyway. He came in with that mindset, didn't he, when he first joined? He said, everywhere I've been a success. And he said it before or after the FA Cup final as well. I'll go somewhere else and win trophies if they don't want me. So he's got those 2 pieces of silverware in the bag from 2 seasons at United, and I think he thinks that actually, if I do have the right environment and right players at my disposal, we can go even further.
Also, it must be so much like, when you have that change of co-ownership or whatever the hell happened above the club, and you're a guy that's been in position and the season hasn't quite gone well, and you've got players that are maybe like the Jadon Sancho issue happened. As a manager, you're probably feeling like, I'm not really comfortable here. Am I the guy? I mean, like, I've got to wait and see what these guys are thinking upstairs, and now they've made a decision. You can feel like his feet are, under the table a bit. Yeah,
I think that was a real factor at play actually at the end of last season. I think players thought that he was going, and that sort of subliminal drop off of intensity or responding to his demands. I think that did happen. We saw it in Ralph Rangnick's year, didn't we, when he was interim manager? It did, it kind of derailed quite quickly, that one. But I think there was certainly a sense of him, the players thinking this guy isn't here for long haul. So it just lessens the pressure to perform. And I think right now, from the executive being here and being there first hand and players seeing that, you've got that pressure to perform.
Most definitely. Laurie, been an absolute pleasure, brother. Thank you for joining us from the Snapdragon. We're going to get out of here now and get a beer on the go, but what a place this is, eh? See you on the flip.